Like all professional players, when I pitch the ball, I'm able to get down in 2 strokes most of the time. How about you? How often do you get down in 2 strokes for a birdie, or a par, or even a bogey? Probably not very often. To help you become more professional in the important pitching department of the game is a man that can pitch the ball with the best of them. Here's Davis Luck, Golf Digest School's head instructor.
Thanks, Bob. Our lesson on pitch shots today will cover 4 topics. Definition, what a pitch shot is. Equipment, the best clubs to get the job done and how they work. Shot technique and execution, how to hold the club, hang it, and swing it. And finally, tips and drills, the things that will make more winners out of your pitch shots. You've probably got a sign on your locker room wall that says, "Fix your ball mark." But if you go to Scotland, that same sign will say, "Fix your pitch mark," describing any shot that flies high enough or spins enough to mark the green when it lands. That's what a pitch shot is. Not one shot, but a whole family of shots. And here are 2 of them that will give you an idea of the range of shots we're dealing with. Here's that short one by Tom Watson at Pebble Beach. That gives us an idea of the size of the family, all the way from just less than a full swing with a pitching wedge down to a sand wedge just off the edge of the green. Let's take a look at the shot shapes you're going to be able to play if you apply the techniques we're about to show you. What you see illustrated here are the 3 key elements of the pitch shot: trajectory, distance, and roll. Notice that the lower the trajectory, the greater the roll. And the higher the trajectory, the less roll we get. Next time you go out to practice your pitching, use that chart as a reminder of the variety of shots that you need to work on, and to help you create your own visual image of the shot before you even swing the club. Every good player creates that visual image, and let's watch one of the best, Bob Toski. We'll be discussing the parts of Bob Toski's swing in a moment. Right now, I just want you to look at the whole thing, to get a feeling for the flow and the motion of one of the great swings that can produce, on call, the 3 essential elements of the pitch shot: trajectory, distance, and roll. We'll have more on those in a moment, too, but right now, all I want you to do is sense that motion. Next, we're going to talk about the tools you need to make those winning pitch shots. Trajectory, distance, and roll. Control them, and you'll be one happy golfer. And here are the 2 basic clubs that we recommend you carry in your bag, and here's why. The first club I recommend you use when you're playing the pitch shots is the pitching wedge. The pitching wedge has got the same relationship to your 9-iron that the 9 has to the 8. In other words, the pitching wedge with a full swing is going to carry the ball about 8 yards shorter than your 9-iron would. With this club, when you swing the club into the ground, the bottom of the club is designed to let the club slide or skid forward. It's not going to dig into the ground and stop, nor is it going to bounce back up into the air. This is going to produce a lower flying trajectory. The ball will not stop as quickly on the green, but it will roll forward as it lands. With this golf club, I expect you to play shots in the range of 100 down to maybe 60 yards. When you get closer to the green than 60 yards, we're going to change clubs, and we're going to take the sand wedge instead of the pitching wedge. And I do mean sand wedge. A lot of you think that the sand wedge is for use only in the bunker. but it's a lot more versatile golf club than that. This is the club that's going to help you play those high-flying shots that need to stop very quickly on the green. And the reason they'll stop faster is that we've now got 56 degrees of loft. We've added 4 more degrees of loft to help the ball get higher in the air. Second thing that's different about this golf club is the head of the club is a lot heavier. And most of the weight of this golf club is underneath the center of gravity, below the point where the club's going to run into the golf ball. With that weight underneath the golf ball, your swing speed is going to create additional height rather than more length. So there's 2 reasons we're going to use this for the shorter shots. Third thing I like about the sand wedge for your short pitches is the fact that the bottom of this club will bounce when it runs into the ground. It is going to bruise the ground and then bounce back up again and help loft that ball even faster into the air, if you know how to use it. Now that we understand the 2 clubs that we're going to use to play pitch shots, let's get into the execution of the shot. And before we swing the golf club, we've got to learn how to hold the golf club correctly, because the quality of your golf swing will never exceed the quality of your grip. So let's carefully go through the procedure for holding the club correctly. Number 1, with the club face aimed squarely to the target, we would like to position our left hand to the club so that there would be 2 knuckles in view as you look through your hand to the golf ball. In fact, this 2-knuckle grip is so important that I'm going to mark the knuckles on the back of my left hand with a magic marker so you can see exactly what we're talking about. And I'd actually advise you to do that yourself. I hope you wear a glove, because if you don't, you're losing some control by not having that extra edge that it gives you. And with the glove marked correctly, you can see I've marked the first and the second knuckles on the back of my left hand. And now I'm going to hold the golf club in the fingers of my left hand and position the hand so that I can see the first and the second knuckles as I look directly at the golf ball. Can't cheat. Can't take a weak grip and lean over here and find those knuckles. We've got to hold it correctly, have your head hanging in the center of your stance, looking directly at the ball, and see knuckle 1 and knuckle 2. The next thing we're going to do to check the quality of that left-hand grip is to see if we can lift the club head in the air without moving the arm. If I can bring the club up with the fingers of my left hand till the shaft is almost parallel to the ground, that means I've held that club correctly. Look how hard it is for me if I turn my left hand too far to the left. I can barely lift the club off the ground. If I turn the left hand too far to the right, same problem. No hinge at the base of the thumb. But with the proper grip position, with 2 knuckles showing and with the left thumb just to the right of the top of the grip, now I have not only the ability to lift the club in the air, I've got enough strength and force right here at the base of that left thumb to have perfect control in the left hand. Now, if we've got this left hand grip position, it's actually even possible to play a shot just with my left hand alone. That's how much control you'll have when you hold it correctly in the left hand. But we've got a right hand too, and we've got to get that right hand on the club correctly as well. And the right hand grip position should be one in which the palm of the hand itself is facing perfectly toward the target. If the right hand is facing it all skyward, that grip position would then close the club face coming in and hit the ball low and to the left. If the right hand were turned too far over on top, that would open the face of the club too much going back and cause the ball to go off to the right. This right hand grip position is so important that I'm going to use a pencil to help you see just exactly what happens when you hold the club incorrectly first. Like I said, if the right hand's turned too far to the right, and now you can see the pencil pointing well off to the right, that grip position is incorrect. That's going to hit a low shot to the left. If I turn my hand over to the point that the pencil is now pointing well off to the left, that's going to make the club face run into the ball with the face open, and the ball will go weakly off to the right. If I can put the club enough in the fingers of my right hand that I get the pencil running parallel to the grip of the club, that parallel position indicates that the palm of my right hand is just exactly where it should be, looking right at the target. The other checkpoint that I want you to look for is this one right here. If, after I've addressed the golf ball and taken my grip, if I just gently take my thumbs away from the golf club and expose my fingers, you'll see that the fingertips of my left hand are perfectly positioned on the right-hand side of the grip. The fingertips of my right hand are perfectly positioned on the left-hand side of the grip. That finger position and that finger control is what's going to help us control the face of the club when we get into the swing motion. Here's an easy way to see if you're hanging the club correctly. Once you've taken your setup, drop your right hand off the golf club. If your right hand, when it falls away from the club, swings directly to the right, so that all you'd have to do to put it back on the club is move it right in here, then your setup is correct. If by some chance you're sitting back too much on your heels, then if the right hand falls away, it's going to come back to your body. That's the danger signal that the posture is not correct. If you went too far the other direction and had your head hanging too far out over the ball, now if you drop your right hand off the club, that hand and arm will fall away from you, again indicating that the setup hasn't been made correctly. Make sure that you're hanging the club behind the ball with those freely extended arms, and check that setup by letting the right hand fall away and get to the point that it'll move only to the right, so that it's easy for that right hand and arm to be placed back on the club with the correct grip position. Now we're ready to swing the club freely to and fro. All we have to do from this setup is use our fingers to set the club head in motion. I can feel the club swinging freely from my fingertips. I can feel the arms being stretched as the club swings back and forth. I'm in perfect balance. I'm ready now with this setup to start playing some quality pitch shots. To hit a perfect golf shot, would you want the head of your golf club to feel as light as this feather or as heavy as this sledgehammer? If you guess the sledgehammer, you're right on course, because having enough flexibility in your hands and arms for the club head to feel as if it were as heavy as a sledgehammer is one of the principles of good golf shots. We want the arms hanging freely, we want the hands and arms swinging freely, and they can only do that if they're relaxed and supple enough that the weight of the club head feels very, very heavy. But I'm going to get rid of this sledgehammer right now because it's too heavy to hit any golf shots with, and start talking about how we are going to initiate the motion of the golf swing. We've held it correctly. We're hanging it correctly to the golf ball. Now our job is to set that club head in motion. And we're going to do that with our fingertips. It is through the fingers that we influence the behavior of that club face. And it is through the fingers that we are going to create the motion of the club head that will create not only the directional control, but the distance control that we need for good pitch shots. I want you to watch as I swing this club head back and forth, and I'm going to attempt to create a swinging motion that is so rhythmic and so even that right now you can't tell whether I'm a left-handed or a right-handed golfer. If we can get that symmetry in our golf swing, then we can control the distance the ball goes with uncanny accuracy. Swinging the club to and fro, not a motion that is slow back and quick through, or not a fast backswing and then slowing down, but swinging the club to and fro. I suggest that you stand in front of a mirror and get that club head swinging back and forth until you can see how evenly the club is moving in both directions. When you've got this down, the next step is to start at the practice tee, trying to brush the grass in exactly the same spot as you go in each direction. Watch this pot of grass I've got the club resting on and see if I can accurately get that same piece of grass as I swing the club both ways. With this preparation, I'll be able to play a golf shot and clip the ball off that grass with the same accuracy. After doing that, I'm going to try to clip the ball off the grass, but keep swinging back and forth to maintain the flexibility and rhythm. Let me do that one more time for you, because this is an exercise that I suggest you all use to help you get the feeling of the rhythm and gracefulness that you want in all of these pitch shots. That gives you the feeling of the perfect swinging motion. We're not hitting the golf ball, we're swinging the club head and letting the club head move the golf ball. Here's an exercise that will help both your posture and your arm flexibility. What I'm going to try to do is play a golf shot, but instead of letting the club head rest on the ground behind the ball, I'm going to leave it suspended behind the ball but up in the air above the ball. Now, if I stay flexible enough in swing, those flexible arms will be stretched enough for the club to strike the back of the golf ball. If my arms got tighter through impact, they would actually get shorter and I would top the ball badly. Let's try it and see if it works. I'm leaving the club suspended above the back of the ball. Now I'm going to make a normal golf swing and let the flexibility of the arms be extended by the weight of the club head. That really felt good, and I could actually feel the arms getting longer through the bottom of that golf swing. Let's try it again, because this principle is really important to you. If my club head is stretching the arms, that's helping the club continue to accelerate down and through the ball, which is going to impart more backspin on the golf ball. Doing the opposite, pulling away from the ground, tightening and shortening the arms, will decelerate the club head and put less backspin, as well as keep the ball from going as far. So let's try it again. Hang the club above the ball, feel the weight of the club head, swing it freely, stretch through the ball. Now, I don't think you ought to play this shot every time on the golf course, but you definitely should hit practice shots doing this until you get really good at it. And then, when you go out to play, what you can do is start your setup with the club above the ball, and then just before you swing, extend the arms just enough to rest the club gently on the ground behind the ball. Now you've achieved the correct setup with long and relaxed arms, instead of finishing putting the club to the ground by slumping forward from the body. This is disaster. From this position, I can only do one of two things: run into the ground early or pull up and back and top the shot badly. So let's use this exercise to advantage and help you play better pitch shots. We can control the height of our pitch shots by the positioning of our golf ball related to our body. The farther we put the ball to the rear of our stance, to the right, the lower the trajectory of the shot will be. The farther we put the ball forward in our stance, the quicker the ball will climb into the air and the higher it will travel. We're going to use this chair to try to demonstrate the results of different ball positions. And what I'm going to try to do is play one shot underneath the seat of the chair, the second one through the back of the chair, and then try to get the third one over the top of the chair, all with this pitching wedge, by doing nothing but changing the position of the ball related to my body. Let's start with seeing if I can get the first ball to go underneath the chair, right between this rung and the seat of the chair. To do so, I'm going to get the ball well back in my stance. You can see that it's actually to the right of my right foot. My hands are forward of the ball, my weight's leaning left, and from this position, I should be able to keep the ball right underneath the seat and go underneath the chair. Now, with the next one, I'm going to try to change the trajectory so that it goes between the seat and the back of the chair. That means that the ball position has got to move forward or toward the target. The ball is farther forward now than it was before, allowing the loft of the club to point a little bit more to the sky, and from right here I should be able to get it right in that slot. There you go. Now I've got one more left to do. From the same position, I've got to get the ball to climb over the back of the chair. That means the ball position has got to go well forward of my body. With the ball up here, I've got a chance to have enough loft on the club that when I swing the club through it, the ball will climb right over the back of the chair. Now, we're not trying to trick you here. We're trying to show you a good, solid piece of technical information that'll help you improve your short shots around the greens. When you want the ball to fly low or close to the ground, position it back in your stance. Don't let convention get in the way of exploring ball positions that are even to the right of your right foot, because these ball positions can produce low-flying shots. Don't be afraid to move it forward and allow yourself to get the loft on the golf club that will allow you to get the ball in the air in a hurry and stop quickly. Now, the distance the ball travels is going to be a function of only one variable, the length of our backswing. If I swing the club back this far and let go, it'll be moving at a certain speed at the bottom. If I swing it back farther, the club head will be traveling faster as it goes through the ball. So the length of the backswing controls the length of the golf shot. If I only swing the club back to here, the ball's going to travel a short distance. Add length to the backswing, and I add length to the golf shot. If I keep increasing the length of the backswing, that backswing length in turn will create a longer shot without any additional effort. And that's what we're trying to do, is create the distance that we want without having to create extra effort. I hope that the flow of motion that you're watching is identical on all of these shots, that the only variable that you see is the length of the motion. So let the length of the backswing control the distance the ball goes, and you've got distance under control. The final step in mastering the pitch shot is to learn to control the face of your golf club well enough to make your ball run, walk, or sit. Let me explain by playing a few shots for you. First, if I want the ball to run when it lands on the green, I'm going to make two changes in my setup. First, moving the ball toward the rear of my stance, more toward my right foot. And secondly, closing the face of the club slightly. With these two changes, the ball will run farther when it lands on the green. Now on this one, I would like for the ball to travel higher through the air and not roll as far when it lands on the green. So the changes will be to move the ball forward, more underneath the center of my swing, and instead of the face being closed, it's going to be placed squarely behind the golf ball. With the square club face and the centered ball position, I'll get more height on this shot and less roll. And now we're going to try to get this ball to really get up in the air. The extra height that I'm going to get here will come from a ball position that's well forward in my stance, up by my left foot, and a club face position that's very open. From this setup, we'll get lots of height and very little roll. Learning to play these 3 shots will help cut strokes off your score. Now let's take another look at Bob Toski's swing. As Bob prepares to play this shot, notice how he feels the club through his fingers, feels the ground through his feet, and identifies the target with his eyes, visualizing the perfect result even before he plays the shot. Now all is left for him to do is pull the trigger. Here's some tips for success that you can have some fun with on the practice tee. And it is important to practice these shots on the range before you try them on the golf course. But I think you can have some fun with doing things like increasing the height of your trajectory by standing closer to the ball than normal, crowding up in there until your arms are pointing almost straight down. From this position, the club will swing more abruptly up into the air, and as it swings down, loft the ball higher without much length to the shot. The important thing here is to make sure that even though you've gotten closer to it, you're still measured off, tall enough in the chest and head that the club can hang naturally, just touching the ground. There it is again, straight up and down, and a lot of height. When we just hold the club, hang it, and swing it, we get the loft that the club head produces without any tricks. But if we want extra height, we take the normal swinging motion and use our wrist to get the club head up in the air faster, both on the backswing and the forward swing. The higher the club head gets and the sooner it gets up, the higher the ball will travel. So for extra height, try getting the club head up faster in the backswing and back up faster in the forward swing. Normal swing, normal height for the loft of the club you're using. Extra height from the club head moving upward quicker by an earlier wrist cock, both on the backswing and the forward swing. Here it is one more time. Club head up, club head back up, extra height. The opposite is also true. If we keep the club head low as it swings back and forth, we'll help keep the ball low as well. Club head down, ball down. So if instead of my normal swing arc, I keep the club low on both sides of the ball will travel lower. These little tips can help you learn how the face of the club affects the height of the golf shot and how we can create the specialty shots that you need when you're sometimes in trouble. Club head low, ball low. Club head high, ball high. Whatever you do, don't sell practice short. It's informative, it's forgiving, and it can be fun. Practice what you've learned today. Good swing technique with the proper club, the correct grip, the right posture, and that wonderful feel of the weight of the club head swinging through the ball. You'll be a winning pitcher for a long, long time. Back to you, Bob.
Davis, that was terrific. We now have a complete understanding of what the pitch shot is and the wide variety you have available in this family of shots. You know, we've seen the 3 key elements: trajectory, distance, and roll. And we've learned how to control them by carrying a pitching wedge and a sand wedge in our bag. And now we know how to hold, hang, and swing it. You know, it's one of the most fun shots in the game of golf, especially when you get it close to the hole. Follow these principles, work on them, and you'll be playing like a pro.
work.